I'm currently rolling out a social media campaign for a local elementary and middle school. And one thing that I requested of the administration as I was planning all of this was, can we not do training the way that we typically do tech trainings? And my reasoning behind that was, number one, I know this staff, and I know who of this staff is really comfortable with technology and who of this staff doesn't feel like they're great at technology, even if they are. And so I wanted to give a really easy entry point into this technology, because with Twitter's such a simple, it's not, there's not a lot to know about how to use the technology itself. It's truly just like instant messaging or texting. So the focus is really on how to use the tool and how to use it well to learn. So I decided, I stole this idea from Karen McMillan. She's at McTeach on Twitter. And she does a project with her students that's paper blogging. And she teaches her kids how to blog using paper first before they jump onto computers. So I wanted to do the same idea with these teachers, this group of teachers, because I thought if we can first learn how to do this without the technology, and if I can give them a really concrete understanding of how Twitter works before we enter that technology barrier that some people feel like it's a barrier, that it'll be a lot easier transition for them. So what I did is I created this, I just used that big chart paper, and I created a Twitter wall, and it's just blank. There's no messages on it, and it looks just like a Twitter wall. So it'll be familiar. And for each teacher that is attending, I created a name tag, and all the name tags have their whatever their Twitter handle is. It's just their @name. And so we'll put those names on. The rule will be that you cannot refer to somebody unless you use first, because I want to really emphasize that when you're referring to somebody that you use that symbol so that we know, Twitter knows that you're referring to somebody and it links to them. So that's the first thing I did. The second thing I did was create, I just got pads of sticky notes and just wrote their Twitter handle at the top of it and wrote 140 characters in the bottom corner. That's actually where they're going to compose their paper tweets. And I just made 10, a stack of 10 for each teacher so that they can do at least 10 notes. Then I just wrote on just plain envelopes. I wrote DM for direct message. I wanted to have a way to show teachers the difference between an @message and a DM, because I feel like that can be a little bit confusing. Everything feels public online, and so I wanted to show them that yes, it's all public, but a DM is a private message between you and another Twitter user. So I created envelopes, just wrote DM on them, and they'll be able to stick sticky notes in there. And what we're having a tweet up. I sent invitations yesterday, and I invited all of the teachers that are on board for this to this tweet up. We're meeting at a local coffee shop, and it's got great space, but I wanted it to feel like a social place. I wanted them to understand that Twitter is a totally social experience. So we're meeting up in a social space. I'll put this big blank Twitter wall up on the wall, and the teachers, tomorrow's actually EdChat, so that works perfectly. I'm going to take whatever the EdChat theme is for tomorrow, the EdChat questions, and I'll propose the same questions to this group of teachers and say, just give me your response, write it on the sticky note. I'll talk about hashtags and how hashtags are used so that they can use that EdChat hashtag, and they'll just write out their tweet and they'll be able to stick it up on the wall. We'll come back and I'll say, okay, pick somebody that you either want to retweet so that I can talk about what retweeting is, or pick somebody that you want to respond to, and so that they'll learn how to use that @ symbol. But the main thing is we're going to be doing this all paper, so there won't be that technology barrier. They'll understand that when they stick that sticky up on the Twitter wall, that it's public. Everybody can go up and see it. Even if they're replying somebody, everybody can see it because it's on that public wall. If they want to send a DM, they'll go ahead and put that in the envelope and hand it to the person that they want the direct message to go to, and hopefully that will show them in a concrete way that a direct message is just between them and somebody else. It's not up there on that public wall. So that's kind of the way we're approaching it. I'll also be recommending that the teachers do a similar thing with their students before they get on the actual Twitter with their students, that they do a paper version so that their students understand kind of how this works as well. So it'll be kind of a modeling activity as well as a teaching activity, but we're going to have fun. It will be, it'll be a good time to socialize and just enjoy each other. I feel like so often we don't get to do that in schools, it's the quick through the hall, hey, how's it going? Fine, good to see you. Occasionally in the staff lounge, and this will give everyone an opportunity to kind of catch up in a fun way, but also learn how to use this new tool. Toward the end, they all are bringing their computers, and this coffee shop has Wi-Fi, so we'll jump onto computers. I'll show them quickly how to log in and then let them send out their first tweet. We'll talk about how to follow lists. I went ahead and created lists for the teachers to follow. The reason I did that is because I remember when I was first on Twitter, it was hard at first understanding how it would be really useful to education. And actually, when I got on, it wasn't really being used that way yet. But I just feel like if you've got a good, solid list of educators to follow and learn from to begin with, you start to understand quickly how Twitter can be used as a teaching and learning tool and also as a professional development tool. So that's what we'll do. The way that the elementary school is using this with students, because Twitter does have an age limit, it has to be 13 or older to use Twitter. So in our elementary school, we have Promethean boards in every single classroom that are connected to a Mac Mini. So what the teachers will do is just use the Twitter account with students on that Promethean board, and they'll compose tweets as a class. So I envision it being mostly like a reflection tool where kids are saying, can we tell our parents that we're getting ready to read chapter 3 of Wayside School is Falling Down as a class, or whatever it is that lets them reflect on that learning, and they'll do it in 140 characters. That also gives us the opportunity to model good use of social networking to students, so we're taking that advantage of that opportunity as well. The middle school will be using it largely the same, but because the students are old enough, they'll be able to tweet directly to the Twitter account with a teacher's permission. So on classroom computers, they'll be able to do that as well. So that's how we're using Twitter. I'll hand out those Twitter posters that I created a few weeks back, and it'll just be a fun time. We'll paper tweet, and then they'll move on to the real tweeting and hopefully do the same with their class. So it should be fun, and hopefully that gave you some good ideas of maybe how you can implement these tools in your school. And I know a lot of you have those tools blocked, but maybe this is helpful for getting them unblocked. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful for you, and thanks for watching. Bye.